Picture walking into a room with potential clients, your team, or even your own board, and feeling a surge of certainty that you belong there. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's the invisible force that turns your ideas into action, your vision into reality, and your team into believers. In this episode, we'll explore why confidence is the non-negotiable skill that separates great leaders from good ones. Are you ready? Hey everyone, John here. 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 Welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. Hey everyone, John here. Welcome to today's episode. You poured your heart and soul into your business, work late nights, manage to get those budgets as thin and as profitable as you possibly can. And when you go to pitch a client or make a presentation to your team or get under that spotlight, your stomach tightens up. I've been there before. Confidence. Confidence is the key, and we're going to talk about some ways that you can gain confidence so that way when you got to make that pitch, you got to make that sale, you got to close that deal, you will have the confidence to get there. One of the reasons why I think this is a key characteristic for leaders is other people can sense when you are not confident. When you're sitting across the table or you're having a discussion with your team or maybe even your board, and they get that feeling that you don't quite know what you're talking about, that can impact what is going on. So what are some consequences if you are feeling unconfident? Customers can sense that uncertainty. Your team may wait for permission instead of acting, and you can hesitate and the opportunity will slip by. So today I am going to give you 3 proven strategies to gain more confidence in your abilities to lead, to close those deals, and to have those difficult conversations. The first one, authenticity. Authenticity is the foundation, in my opinion, for confidence. Knowing who you are, what you stand for, and your strengths and weaknesses go a long way with strengthening that foundation. People who are unconfident in their ability, unconfident or stammering in their conversations, you will get that look of, does he really or does she really know what they're talking about? And when you do get that look, and everybody I think has been there, that's when that record starts playing, that little voice in your head starts repeating, John, you're an imposter. John, you don't belong at the seat of the table. John, you don't deserve to have a company or a business, or you don't deserve to be a leader of this organization. And it can begin to impact and degrade your morale and your psyche. And your energy that you bring to the table will lessen. And when that energy starts to lessen, the team will also follow. So what are some things that you can do to create that authentic confidence? 1, value audits. This is a quick exercise. I do it every morning. You should know your values. If you don't know your values, there's another episode on understanding and creating your values. But write those values down. Take 10 minutes every morning, and I want you to operationalize those values. So how are you going to live through those values today? Every morning, how are you going to live through those values today? This is very important because if you're making decisions, it needs to be based off of those values. Does your choices, does your decision honor those values, or are they going against those values? Are the conversations that you're having honor those values or go against those values? Are the behaviors that you're exhibiting that day going with the values or going against those values? So it's very important to understand your values, and that's where confidence is built from. That's where that authentic confidence is going to come from. You know what you're talking about, you know what you stand for, and once you figure out those 2 things, you're unstoppable. Another thing that you can do is create your story. What is your leadership philosophy? What is your leadership story? Many times I talk to leaders and they really don't have a story about why they're doing what they're doing, why they got into leadership, why they started that business. They may have started it on their own as a solopreneur and just started it for hard work, wanted maybe to pay off some bills or make ends meet or get a mortgage or buy a car for their son or put their kids through college, whatever that looks like. Now you're in a different spot. So what is your leadership story, and how confident are you in living in that story? If you're having to make believe once upon a time, that is not going to work for you. You need to have a story that is purposeful, that you can stand by. That is where the confidence comes from. It's going to come out in your voice. It's going to come out in your posture whenever you tell that story, because that is the story that you're living today. It is not a fairy tale. Don't get into leadership to live a fairy tale. Figure out your leadership story, ground it, and live it day to day, and it will help build that foundation of confidence. Second, mastery and preparation. One of the things, true confidence comes from knowing what you're talking about. So John, how do we get there? How do I know? Because John, you told me to go before you're ready. And if I'm not 100%, how can I have confidence that this thing is going to work out? It goes back to the first one that we talked about. Be confident in your ability to figure it out. Be confident in your ability to understand and change the tires on the car while it is in motion, while it's rolling down that hill, because as leaders, that's what we're going to have to do. As business owners, you do that every day. You are figuring out problems before they even happen. And that is what I'm talking about here. So invest in yourself, invest in the skills and knowledge. Where are you lacking? And then take that and go pour into it. How do you do that? Skill sprints. I've been training for 2 decades in skill sprints. We call them micro-learning. These are excellent ways for you to take one leadership competency that you want to work on, do it per week. So pick a leadership competency. It could be communication. It could be delegation. It could be having difficult conversations. Whatever competency, could be making hard decisions. Whatever that looks like, take a competency and then spend 30 minutes. Commit. Leaders, commit to 30 minutes a day to learn a new skill and work towards achieving mastery in that competency. That is going to give you the confidence to know what you're talking about. People who know what they're talking about just have that extra level of confidence. I'm not saying fake it till you make it. What I am saying is go before you're ready and then catch up as fast as you possibly can, because we learn through our experiences, and a lot of times we don't have that experience. So yeah, we got to go before we're ready. We got to get that experience. We got to fall down, pick ourselves up, and then start running again. That is okay, but commit to one leadership competency a week and 30 minutes per day. Try it on. I want to take a quick break from the episode today to talk about a couple things. The first thing, less than 40% of our listeners are subscribed to our channel. You would be doing me a huge favor if you click on that subscribe button. It helps us grow our Go Be Great community and get this podcast out to as many people as we possibly can. The second thing, are you a small business owner that is drowning in the day-to-day operations? You're delegating tasks and you're still doing all the work. You're experiencing a high turnover. Maybe you don't have the systems and processes in place that you need to run a successful business. I invite you to go over to thejohnespinosa.com, fill out the form to see if you're the right fit. Now back to the episode. The other technique that I have here for you is pre-meeting rehearsals or pre-presentation rehearsals or pre-difficult conversation rehearsals. Whatever you want to do, practice out loud. I always have notes and they're bullets. I don't have a full script. I don't ever read from a script, but I do have talking points. I mean, all my journals, every single morning when I journal, I'm writing down talking points that I want to bring across to you all out there. That is no different than what you need to do in order, again, to feel like you know what you're talking about, because it's not the first time that you've had that conversation. It's not the first time that you've spoken those words. So write down your bullets and then just quickly go through it and do it out loud. Many times people will say, yeah, I went through the presentation. Okay, how long did it take? What did it sound like? Did you change anything? They're like, well, I just kind of went through it in my head. No, don't do that. I promise there is something magical, something different, something will click if you go through the presentation and you give it out loud. Stand in front of a mirror, sit in front of a camera, record yourself, whatever that looks like. Go through the motion. It's no different than learning how to ride a bike. If you just read about how to ride a bike and you thought about how to ride a bike, but you never actually got on the bike and rode it, how would that work out for you? It's no different than having these pre-meeting or pre-whatever briefing or pre-conversation rehearsals. Go through that conversation. It is going to give you more confidence when you get actually in the scenario, because again, your brain is going to say, we've been here before. We've spoken these words. We're confident that we know what we're talking about. So mastering and preparation, big skill in exuding confidence. And then the last one we're going to talk about, mindset and self-talk. So this is woven in to the first one in authenticity, and then knowing what you're talking about through mastery and preparation. But we tell ourselves these stories, and these stories can create an identity. And that identity can make or break us in a high-pressure situation when we need to be confident, or when we're trying to close that deal, or we're trying to create maybe a culture of trust, or we're trying to get out and get some investors to buy into what we are talking about and the vision that we have. Turn that vision into reality. So here, be careful of the stories that you tell yourself. I used to tell myself that I wasn't very good at giving presentations. I used to tell myself that I got nervous whenever I got up in front of people. I stopped. The funny thing is, nervousness and excitement are really the same physiological responses. When I get nervous, what happens? My palms get sweaty. I get those butterflies in my stomach, right? My heart starts to flutter a little bit. When I'm excited about something, what happens? My palms get sweaty. I get the butterflies in my stomach. My heart starts to flutter. The exact same physiological responses for me. But the story is different. The story about me being nervous getting up in front and talking to people, that's a whole different story than I'm excited to have the opportunity to get up in front and talk to people. That is two different stories there, Go Be Great community. So again, watch the story that you're telling yourself. A couple ways that we can do that. Positive affirmations. Affirmations, you can blow me off right now and you can say, John, affirmations don't work. I'm telling you right now, that is not true. Affirmations do work. There's a lot of research out there that talks about affirmations. And I want to challenge you right now. Challenge your assumption that affirmations don't work. Take one leadership affirmation, write it down. One thing, you can go back to the competency that you want to work on, because a lot of time that competency is a weakness that we have. So maybe you don't like conflict. Challenge that affirmation. Say, conflict is a necessary evil. Conflict is something that I am good at. I am good at dealing with conflict. And then write it down and then repeat it to yourself out loud again. You notice this out loud? We have to listen to ourselves talk sometimes. We got to stop listening to what we're thinking and start listening to what we're saying. And that starts with repeating these positive affirmations. So take that negative thought, turn it into a positive affirmation, and then speak it out loud. And then journaling. And you know, if you are not journaling during these podcasts, you're not doing yourself a favor, leaders. Journal. Get a journal. Write down these thoughts. Take those negative stories that you are telling yourself and reframe them through writing. Reframe them through journaling. Figure out what that looks like. I'm a big mind map person up here on my boards that I have, my marker boards, on my journal. What I mean by mind mapping is take a competency or take a negative thought, put it in a circle, and then branch out. Is this true? What does that look like? When do I exhibit that thought? Or when am I exhibiting this behavior? And you're going to find out that a lot of times that's not the case. It's not the truth. When we reframe those thoughts through journaling, what we're doing is beginning to condition our brain to get rid of it, to prove it false. Those that like to argue out there, argue with yourself. And this is how you prove it, is through journaling and creating positive affirmations to flip that mindset and get you moving in the right direction. And there comes confidence. Confidence is going to naturally arise through that process for you. So again, today, commit. This is my challenge. Commit to one values audit. One values audit. Write down your values, operationalize them. What do they look like behavior-wise? What goes against them? What is for them? One skill sprint. One competency per week, 30 minutes per day. Commit to it. And then one affirmation to anchor whenever you start going down that rabbit hole and you start telling yourself that story about, John, you get nervous when you get in front of people. Stop. Anchor it back. I am excited about this opportunity to get to talk to you today. Take the things that we talked about today and use them to close those deals, turn your team into believers, and turn that vision into reality. I believe in you. Go be great. Talk to everyone later. If you like what you're hearing, do us a favor. Click on that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. That lets us know that what we are putting out benefits you. If you want additional information or resources or learn how to work with me, head on over to thejohnespinosa.com, because when we become better versions of ourselves, it helps us get others to where they're going. Go be great. Talk to everyone later.